90 to 92. The Gerry Ryan Show, Monday to Friday, 9 till 12 on 2FM.
In studio, we have a man who sees things that most of us can only imagine. Joe, we have your book, a rather unusual copy of it too, in our hands at the moment. The Man Who Sees Dead People. We've gotten to the point where we were, you have described, I suppose, something that's become your bread and butter now, and that is intervening where somebody is missing. And usually when people are at the end of their tether, whether they're the CID or whether they're the guards or whether they're family, it's to people like you they turn. And they only turn to people like you because one of two things. One, they're absolutely desperate. And two, you have a track record of delivering results. I suppose you're judged when you have a consistent number of results. Can you recall when that period happened?
Yeah, the Shannon Matthews is probably one of the highlights.
Tell us about that case.
The Shannon Matthews I was approached by Simon Lennon from a certain newspaper in the UK, and I was asked to, go into the premises and meet Shannon Matthews. And the most important time when you meet someone is your first feelings and thoughts, because within a couple of seconds you've usually got the information. 30% that you speak to anyone when you're doing an investigation is basically a lot of garbage. But then I know what I'm looking for. I'm waiting for that little signal to drop through. And then after I'd spoke to her for a few moments, I said to her the name of Paul and Mikey, and obviously they were the people. And then as soon as I mentioned them names, and obviously I mentioned about her sitting on a funeral and about a church, all of a sudden is that she went completely disturbed. She was completely disturbed. And I always remember is that she walked out into the kitchen and she confronted Craig, which was her boyfriend at the time. And she passed these names on to him and the place of Batley. And eventually that's where she was found. There was a huge big argument in the kitchen. And she said, I'm trying to find my effing daughter. But obviously at that point and that stage, she knew is that that young child was in the uncle's house. So, straight away going in there within a couple of minutes, not a year later, within a couple of minutes of going in, is that I had the names of the abductor who had taken them. So, it's when you look at it and you think some of these cases that the police spend years on, millions of pounds, taxpayers' money, and you can get someone that can go in straight away and bring some information
through. Such a spectacular result.
Yeah, it is a really good result. I had another result as well where I sent into the Met Police some information, and the Met Police started emailing me back asking me if I could locate the weapon. Is it hidden? Is it buried? So, they never like to admit it, but then if they're emailing you back in correspondence, they're taking the information. I specifically told is that the man that you're looking for deals with food. And that was on the Sally Ann Bowman case. And he was arrested. He was a chef. I told him who they were looking for. I said he deals in food. I could smell the onions. I could smell the food. And I had 2 meetings, and I knew is that he worked with food.
How tangible does the connection have to be? Do you have to have some clothing? Do you have to be with a relative? Or can you do it completely separate?
You can do it completely separate, but the thing is, Gerry, is that I can have an insight into someone going missing. But then if you don't have an investigation team that follows them leads up, and, I've had insights, obviously, in this book, The Man Who Sees Dead People, of Madeleine McCann and certain people go missing. But then if you don't have people that follow that information up and find the house where I've said that she's been taken from the hotel to this house, you're never gonna.
When did you, with Madeleine McCann, when did you announce that you thought you knew where she had been taken?
I announced probably roughly about 2 months afterwards, because I didn't want to get involved in this. There was a businessman that approached me and said, we'll fly you over to Portugal. And I said, it's not as simple as that. I said, you need real professional people that would know where to look. It's no use going over and you're psychic, you can find this place. You'd need people that knew the area.
And knew what you were actually saying.
Yeah, of course, what I'm referring to.
Yeah, because you might know what you're referring to yourself.
Of course,
but you need somebody to go, I know what he's talking about. That's down the road.
Exactly, that's what you need. There's no use me going to Portugal or any other place unless you've got real people that know what you're talking about.
And with Madeleine McCann, what did you said? What did you...
Yeah, well, I sent into the Portuguese police and we had the university to sketch an image of a house. I mean, the image of the house, it gives great detail. It may be slightly different, the house, when I actually see it or when they do find it. Because obviously you just get an image, like a screen, like a TV screen, an image of a house. What I felt very, very strongly when I got that image is that there's no doubt within my mind is that she was taken to that location. And I feel that that location isn't far from the hotel. I don't believe she's gone to another part of the world or she's somewhere else.
Do you believe she's still possibly there?
Yeah.
I mean, it must be impossible to resist tuning in to that. I mean, because the Madeleine McCann story, of course, is one of the most tragic cases of disappearance or abduction that we've ever experienced, in recent times. So it must, like you're a normal person, I mean, you must sometimes go, I wonder where she is. And then at that point, I presume you tune into that again.
Yeah, but I can't tune in any further because I get the same image.
And that's it. That's where it stops.
Is
she alive, do you think?
I wouldn't like to say, really, because while there's hope and obviously, I could be wrong in my images and I have to, anything in life, we can always get it wrong. So it's a very delicate case and I've got children as well and it's very sensitive with obviously the parents listening and, trying to find this young daughter of theirs. But I keep getting the same images. So my images... Because I've got a clear image of, if I could locate that place now, it'd be great, of where it is. But if I keep getting the same image, because I'm used to doing readings from day to day, once you give you the same image, you don't need to go much past that.
Barry George, of course, a name very much in the papers and the subject of much discussion, the guy who was accused originally of killing Jill Dando. He's now been exonerated.
Yeah.
Now, you know for certain, you say that he didn't kill her.
Without a doubt, yeah.
How do you know that?
Because I had a vision of Jill. See, when I get people coming to visit me, I can actually see them. And because they're in the public eye, you recognise the image straight away. And whenever I get an energy coming close to me, most of the time it's in my living room, actually. I'll get like a grey mist that will come through and you'll just get a feeling of a certain person coming through. And I always remember the Jill coming through and all I heard was the name of Clements. Yeah, crystal clear. And it sounded like Clements. And I always remember her saying that, it's nothing to do with him at all. So you get these visions and thoughts and people coming to you with little clues that, again, if no one is looking into that, then what do you do with it? These people are obviously trying to come from the spirit world because they've been murdered or, they're trying to give some type of insight into a certain clue to pass on to people.
And who's this Clemens?
Well, you could say it's a name of a place. Yeah, it could be Clements Road that the person lived on, or he was stalking on, or it could be actually the name of the person.
How did that prove that it wasn't Barry George?
Well, quite clearly is that the insight that I got, the feeling, the thoughts, is that it was pushed away, that was the wrong person. Yeah.
Of course, we've had Barry's sister, a very articulate woman, on the programme on a number of occasions. She was absolutely convinced from the word go of his innocence.
2FM.
Our studio guest today is Joe Power, the author of The Man Who Sees Dead People. You'll know Joe also from Living TV's Psychic Investigators. The Moors murderers, Ian Brady and Myra Hindley, two very, very complex people. Myra Hindley, Ian Brady being, I think, basically psychotic, a very bizarre psychiatric mix of illnesses there. Myra Hindley being maybe one of the most manipulative and conniving people ever to be incarcerated after these terrible crimes that they committed. And of course, poor old Lord Longford was utterly duped by her, I think. You have had occasion to become acquainted with the spirit of Keith Bennett. Keith was one of the victims of the infamous murderers.
Yeah, that's right, Gerry.
How did that happen?
Well, I started the development circle many years ago when I had a teacher, and because I was a young student in psychic and mediumship, and it used to be a closed circle where you used to develop. And when I was in that circle, I had this young Keith Bennett coming to me, and I felt quite embarrassed, really, because I'm in a teacher's, I'm a student, and I've got a certain individual coming to me. And I was thinking, oh my God, young Keith Bennett, everyone's going to think you're absolutely bonkers or whatever. So I never told people. And he used to come to me, and obviously he told me that he would never be found. There's no way that he would be found. And also as well, obviously he gave me an insight into what's the one that had abducted? What was her name then? Sorry.
Myra Hindley.
Myra Hindley, yeah. He was give me insight into that she did help in the murders, even though she denied.
Oh no, I think it's quite clear.
Yeah, it's quite clear she did. Yeah, and obviously, I always like to ask them, do they want to meet the victims, and how do they look at it from their point of view now, and what are they doing in the spirit world and different things. And I always like to delve in, because obviously this young person was taken, he's never been found, and how he thought about it. Would he see her over on the other side? And obviously, he didn't want to. Yeah, so it's by choice, really. So, there was no doubt about it, is that she was a very evil woman, and she had a lot to do with all the murders.
Did he tell you anything about her, apart from the fact that she was implicated in the actual physical act of murdering? I think that's very clear now. She was involved certainly in the torture, and that in part led to the murder. Did he completely explain her to you?
He didn't completely explain her.
Because she's a very complex character.
Yeah. He didn't completely explain everything, because obviously when they come in, they only can come in for a certain amount of time. You only can hold the vision of a spirit person for, say, 3 or 4 minutes at a time.
Right.
And then they'll go away.
It's still quite a long time, though, isn't it?
Yeah, sometimes it might even be that. Sometimes it's only 30 seconds.
Right.
It depends how good they can actually stay within the atmosphere and then move back on. But obviously he gave me an insight into him himself, what he was doing. The interesting thing about Keith Bennett is that you're always told that people grow up in the spirit world.
He didn't.
No. Yeah, he does grow up.
Oh, he does.
Yeah, he has grown up, but he did appear to me in the images that we would recognise him with his little glasses on. So when you're in the spirit world, if he would have come to me and he was like, say, 55 years of age now, I wouldn't have recognised him.
So do you think he did that deliberately?
He's done it deliberately. Yeah, of course, yeah. So I know that it's...
Did he say how he was killed?
No, I didn't. So obviously, I probably could have gone into more detail, but when he come through, is that I was at very early stage development. I mean, now I would obviously delve into more questions and answers with people that was coming through. Yeah.
The Cray brothers, another two nasty characters, they apparently have asked for forgiveness.
Of course, yeah. And that's, obviously they were very nasty here, but they'd done the time when they were away, and they've obviously moved on. We have no insight into the spirit world. I mean, forgiveness from a much higher source is not up to us. Whatever happens to them, obviously Ronnie and Reggie, they've obviously moved on within the spirit world, and obviously Ronnie himself, he has obviously been aware that he's made mistakes in life, and now he's on the mend.
So you can change your character when you pass over?
You don't change your character.
No.
I mean, I get miserable people come through to me at times, all the time, and you think, oh my God, do I want to pass this message on to the person? Do
you filter a lot, do you?
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, you get an old sod that comes and he's absolutely miserable, or, you just, sometimes you think, bloody hell, why am I talking to them? Or,
Stick on your headphones there, Joe, for a second.
Yeah.
Just see if they're working. I'll try not to speak too loud. Joe was out now last night enjoying the pleasures of Dublin City. Can you hear? Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Aisling, good morning.
Good morning. Hi, Gerry. Hi, Joe. Delighted to listen to you, though I did miss the first part. But I was wondering, could you give me a reading over the telephone?
In what area?
Well, I'm just wondering, is there anybody around me?
At the moment, I'm not really picking up anyone around you at the moment. So, I mean, I could do you a light-hearted aura reading because that's what I would just pick up within your auric field at the moment. Yeah.
Yes.
There's nothing really strong that I'm picking up because I wasn't expecting the phone call. Now, just picking up onto your auric field, our colours are made up of colour. The colour I'm picking up with you at the moment is yellow, but then I'm feeling a little bit dipped and a little bit down within your auric field. Don't know if you feel like you're stuck in the same area or stuck in the same place. Does that make sense to you?
No, not at present, no.
Well, that's what I'm feeling at the moment. I'm always also seeing red within the auric field as well. Normally represents legal issues, and it could be someone that is close to the family where there's change of premises or something going on legally.
Okay.
That should be happening.
All right. That's nothing that I'm familiar with at the moment.
Well, if you're not familiar at the moment, it'll probably be happening within the near future.
Okay.
Aisling, why are you asking?
Well, see, I would have an interest in mediums, but, trying to get a reading with a medium is very difficult to start with. And then apart from all that, it's very hard to distinguish who's genuine, who's good, because you can go to a market and find a medium there. So, it's really just to hear somebody who's written the books, who's appeared on television, who's generally they've been checked and proven along the way. And it would be lovely just to have a reading with somebody like that and see, could I contact those, of my family that may have gone before me?
Yeah, I think the thing, obviously, that you're connecting to at the moment is that we're not really on a connecting to spirit people. We're just in a conversation. I think that's the main thing. You have to really change frequency to actually connect. And most of my readings as well is that 85 to 90% of the people that will come through. And it's not vague information like I've got a jar of jam. Normally the people that will come through will tell me the name, how old they are, how they passed. So it's not vague information that normally that I will come up with.
Yes.
You'll also find as well is that the most interesting when spirit people come through, they don't come through by themselves. They'll normally come through with members of the family.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
And what do you think the purpose? Aisling, good luck to you. What do you think the purpose of that is, Joe?
I think the purpose is it only makes common sense. If you've got a young son that's gone to the spirit world, and he won't be there by himself, he will be with members of his family. So normally, if you're connecting to someone's loved one, there's always people with them in the spirit world. It's only common sense.
Do you have what they often refer to, guys, in your profession, as a guide? Do you have an assistant?
Yeah, I think every one of us, whether it's me or you or other people, we all have guides in life, and you'll find that guides come in to give you a certain amount of knowledge. So if you had, say, for example, a young nurse and she was obviously going along with a career, okay, after so long is that once she's actually passed that certain test, what she was doing, and she wanted to go further with her education, and then another guide would come through with extra knowledge that would be passed on. Now, the same with me. I have guys that come in and out constantly.
Ones that you recognise.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I've had people that come in quite often, and they'll be there for a certain purpose, whether it's to help me with my mediumship or advance me or stretch me, because people have knowledge in the spirit world and they have insights that they can help us on this side with.
Okay. Catherine, good morning.
Hi, Gerry. Hi, Joe. How are you?
Hi, Catherine. Fine, thank you.
I just wanted to make an inquiry of you. I buried a brother. He died actually in October, but he couldn't communicate with us. He had a brain tumour, but he was actually trying to say something to my sister as we were leaving the night before she died. And I just wondered, would there be anything?
Yeah, to be fair, if I was to try and communicate now, I'd be lying to you, so I wouldn't be in contact with you, brother. Basically, what would be happening is that during his passing, there will be someone there. He's probably tried to say that there's a certain person there and he was okay.
Oh, right. Okay.
Basically, most of the time, just before the transaction going on to the other side, there's normally members of family waiting for them.
Right.
And believe it or not, I had obviously I've had an insight into the spirit world. When people pass over, it's one of the most beautiful feelings that you can ever imagine. Mm-hmm. So I hope that gives you some type of insight.
Okay. Can I just ask you, are you in Ireland? Are you doing any readings or that?
Yeah, I'm in the Limerick next Thursday, and I'm back over in Dublin in October.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
Take care. This is another Catherine. Catherine, number 2. Good morning.
Good morning, Gerry.
How are you?
Morning, Joe.
Good morning, Catherine.
Last week, a week ago, last night, I was in bed and it was around a couple of minutes to 12. And I got this very cold feeling, ice cold feeling of a breeze coming across me in the bed. And I was actually pinned down in the bed. I couldn't move. And I just looked up and the door was closed. I thought, is the door open? Did I open the window? But they were all closed. And then the next morning I got a phone call to say that a man that I know had actually died.
Okay, that is quite common. That happens quite frequently. It is very frightening. I bet you were very frightened as well. When that
I was, yeah. Because I was just pinned to the bed and I just couldn't move. And I kept saying, what's going on? And it was ice cold.
Yeah, normally you usually paralysed. You can't shout, you can't scream, you can't do anything. Is that the way you were feeling?
That's the way I felt.
Okay. Yeah, I can easily explain that. What's basically happened is that entity has obviously come across you. The spirit has come across you to let you know is that they were moving pretty on. That's basically what's happened. It can be very frightening. I mean, it's happened to me several times. So I can fully understand people obviously listening outside there now. Some cases, though, is that you can actually get a negative energy that comes across your good spirit and it can linger on. And if you don't know what it is, it's one of the most frightening feelings that you can actually get. Because when we talk about evil people, you do get evil energies that can come across your spirit. Mm-hmm. So basically...
It was just the next morning when I got up, I had this unmerciful headache.
Yeah.
And, and I got a phone call then a few minutes later, and it was, to say that this person had died, and then the headache just went.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. I'd be pleased because it gives you an insight of you being sensitive yourself and, certain people coming to you.
Right. Okay, but it was a little
so
bit
does that mean, Joe, that for Catherine here that could happen again with
of
somebody
course,
else?
Without a doubt, yeah. I mean, she seems to be very sensitive, and certain members of a family are more sensitive than others, and spirit people will come through.
You've got your new career mapped out for you there, Catherine.
I have, haven't I?
You have, yeah.
Good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Catherine.
Joan, good morning to you.
Morning, Gerry. How are you?
Very good. Your husband is dead 9 years.
9 years, yeah.
And what are you worried about?
I just worry, is he happy? Because he died
must
very
be the
suddenly.
oldest question of them all.
Yeah, it's easy to say. he wouldn't be happy because obviously he would leave his family. I always like to be truthful, but linking onto your auric field, your answer is yes, because I come across a lot of people in the spirit world, and especially a lot of husbands, and I ask them if they're happy, and basically some of them are not happy because they've left their wife, they've left the children, and if we want to be real about it, you know, it hates them on the other side to leave yous here.
I presume there's some fellas that are happy to be away from them.
Yeah.
Obviously not your husband.
Yeah, but you're nice. You seem nice, so yeah.
No, shortly before he died, my sister had died previous, and I went to a media. A friend of mine was having one, and when I went, she looked at me very strangely. And now I have to say she was very good, but she did tell me when I went that she asked me, was I a healer? And I said, no, I'm not. She says, are you sure you're not telling me lies? I said, no, I'm not. And she told me that I had a double aura around me that was never broken.
Double?
Can that be true?
Well, I don't believe in this a broken aura, because the auric field is the magnetic field that surrounds the human body, which I believe is made up of energy. It's an energy field, and you can pick up, obviously, you need to look after that auric field to make sure that your health is perfectly balanced. If you don't, you know, you can pick up disease and everything. But I don't believe in a double aura. I believe that if your aura is bouncy and bubbly, it will extend more.
Yes, yeah. And you do believe my husband is happy?
Of course, yeah.
Are you, Joan?
I am, Gerry. I try to take each day as it comes, and I'm a kind of... My children enjoy me, and my grandchildren absolutely adore me. And
I can tell, though, that you really loved this fellow. What was his name?
Jimmy.
Jimmy, you really loved him, didn't you?
We had our ups and downs, Gerry.
Well, like everybody.
We had our ups and downs, but he was a good man and a good worker, and today he went to the hospital of a Sunday, and Monday the hospital rang. He wouldn't let me go because he said, there'd be nothing, only drunks and druggies and whatever. And I was ringing up to 3:20, and they said he was fine. And then I got a phone call at 7:20 to say, would I come to the hospital? He was seriously, dangerously ill. So I went up, and my sons came with me, and my daughter was in Kerry, and she came up, and my other daughter came, and they said there was nothing they could do for him. And I said, don't tell me that, this day and age. So that was on the Monday, and we were with him, and he was in intensive care, and I still didn't believe it. So the doctor came out, and he said, we're sorry for keeping you so long, Joan. He said, but his heart stopped for 7 seconds, but we resuscitated him. And it was only then that I said, God, this is serious, but still not really believing it. But he died at 5:45 on Tuesday morning. A man that could do everything.
You really do miss him. All right, Joan, it's been lovely speaking with you.
Listen, thank you very much, Gerry, and you mind yourself.
Yes,
God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joan.
Bye.
In studio, the man who can see dead people, Joe Power, in studio. Fiona, good morning to you.
Morning, Gerry. How are you?
Very good. You've had a few unusual experiences recently.
Yes, I got very excited when I heard Joe was talking there. Over the last 2 years, I've had a few strange things happen. I was in my house. I was living with my partner there for a long, long time, and unfortunately, it all kind of, split up and that. So I was feeling obviously a little bit low at that time. But I can remember I went up and just lay down. It was like night. I was just going to bed, and all I could feel, I was like I'd fallen asleep. I don't know if I'd fallen asleep, but all I can remember is like this energy going through me. It's the only way I can explain it. And I got a fright. And it was like the more I got worried, the tighter the energy was getting. And then I could feel like arms around me and like an elderly voice saying it's okay, everything's going to be okay. So obviously at this stage I was completely freaking out. So then I kind of, it was like the more I struggled with it, the more the grip went, and then I went, okay, I'm going to have to relax. So once I relaxed, it went, and it's like it disappeared. And then when I looked down, because I had my O's across my legs, there was actually a little dint, as if like, you know, from pressure from my heel going into my shin. Are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously I couldn't sleep a wink. I had my dog and all up the room, thank God. But, you know, so that happened then, and of course I rang my family and they all thought I was a bit mad. But, you know, it kind of happened then again. I was in Australia, and it's weird things like that would happen. And then I was with my friend Gerry, I just did a course, and me and this girl, we just really gelled and clicked, and she's very much kind of open into that, and I would very much believe in angels and all that kind of thing. And I was we were doing each other's hair, and she kept saying, she was just talking about things like that, and I heard the twins, one of them has like talks to like imaginary friend, they say children and infants, is it their angels they're talking to. And next thing, she's getting all these pins and needles, and I was feeling it too, and I didn't want to say it in case I couldn't. This is just a bit crazy. And next thing, my phone rings, and I pick it up, and her phone's beside her, like upside down. And I went, Sarah, you're ringing me. She goes, Fiona, I'm not ringing. I don't even have any credit. And she picked up her phone, and her phone there was ringing my phone. And that's just all a bit strange. So
I think you have plenty of experience of physical things happening in communication terms. Spirits do apparently speak through radios, they speak through phones, all sorts
even
of
kettles.
things.
Twice I've come in and the kettle just turned itself on.
Well,
I don't know what the kettle.
Don't know about the kettle. I'm willing to believe anything. It's Friday.
You've been on the slosh last night.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't. I'd actually been to someone that did reflexology, and it was twice after getting reflexology that I came in, and the kettle actually, it just switched. So
well, I mean, that's interesting, because there's a text here saying, Gerry, can I ask Joe, I lived in a house before where a lot of strange things happened, like candles lighting spontaneously. My son had some experiences like that. I mean, this caller wanted to know were spirits attracted to certain people, and you sound like one of those people. Are some people more attractive to spirits who come and maybe play around them?
I'm skeptical, maybe, because I like to see real things happening, and I've seen a lot of these programs where there's stones being.
You're not impressed with the kettle boiling up.
With the kettle boiling up this afternoon.
But that's just an example. But even when I came back from doing that girl's hair that night, even when I was gone to bed, it was like someone even like flipped my legs, and it was like I could feel someone like patting, like comforting. Like I used to get really scared, because when the first time I'd do hair and a woman came in.
So let me just go back to that. Your legs were actually flipped by somebody you couldn't see.
I know. This sounds so crazy. And
No. But stay with me for a second. So you're there, and the legs move, but you're not moving them.
No, it was like I was going to sleep. Now, in fairness, I had kind of asked for a few signs coming up to this, like, you know, if like angels, like, just let me know if you're around, like, you know. And then I think, well, this is what I get for asking. You know, be careful what you wish for. But I can really frighten me.
What do you think, Joe?
I'm going to avoid that question, because what I do think that's happened is that I feel is that an energy has come close to her while she's been down at a certain point
in her life
and alive, and has lifted her at that time. Okay, I don't know about her legs being flipped, because obviously that's a little bit.
But like,
a good power to have, all right.
Yeah, but I think that the interesting point is that when someone is sitting down, is that you'll get someone from the spirit world, whether you call them angels or family, and they'll lift the spirit. So I think that's good enough what she's got.
Okay, Fiona, good luck to you.
Okay, thank you.
Good luck, Fiona.
Happy Friday.
Bye. There you go. Have a good Friday. James, how are you?
Gerry, how are you doing?
Yeah, you're very worried, aren't you?
I'm crapping myself.
Okay. Right, why?
Well, I'm kind of the opposite of that girl there now, where I've asked for help and stuff like that, and I think I'm on a closed down line or something, you know what I mean? Because I would be fairly religious, and I do, when I do pray, I do speak to my father, my wife's father, and family, and a couple of friends. Now, I work in the offshore business, and we have to renew your offshore ticket every 4 years, your further offshore training. And it's the old helicopter under the water, turn upside down bit. Now, the last time I done it, I had a bad experience. So I've been asking for help, and from you name it, from any area. And I've nothing to tell me, and it's on my mind nearly 24 hours a day now at the moment. Like, I'm flying out on Sunday night now to go over.
What are you afraid of?
I'm afraid of drowning. I'm afraid of something happening. I don't know. I'm afraid of the unknown. I don't know. But I do know. I know they've added a new piece to it. And it's just, I don't know. If that makes any sense. Does Joe feel anything?
No, of course it makes sense. Who wants to be in a helicopter under the water upside down? The fact that you're afraid is completely
I got stuck in it the last
logical.
time.
Yeah, it's a good question. When somebody like that comes along to you, Joe, can you help somebody like that? Because I presume the question you're asking, James, is should I go or should I stay?
Yeah.
I think you'll be all right. I think everyone has fears. I have a fear of flying. I think people have fears all the time, and sometimes it's not a psychic that you need to see. It may be someone in another professional field that you need to see. But just generally picking up, I think you need to be a lot more strong and a lot more focused in your own spirit, because there's obviously negativity thoughts that are coming in and staying on the subconscious mind. And once they start to come in, it starts to cause panic with you.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from.
That seems to be what's happening, and every time it triggers off that thought, it's going from the subconscious, and then it's going straight to the mind and triggering off. And if you don't get some type of help now, it'll get worse in the future.
This is probably something that you've more control over than anybody in this room. Yeah. All right, James, go and get some help, because that's your livelihood, old son.
I know, but
what happened just out of curiosity the last time?
Well, what they do is they put you in the helicopter and they drop you down first in an environmental pool.
I've done it.
Well, then you know yourself, it's up to your waist first.
It's not very pleasant.
Then they drop you in up to your neck, and then they drop you in just over your head.
Yeah.
And you get out the window. Well, on the last stage...
It's all about not panicking.
Yeah. I hadn't got any problems. I'd be happy enough. I'd be in a happy place. But when I went in the last time and they turned me upside down, you know the aviation seatbelt?
Mm-hmm.
The one you flick across?
Yeah.
Well, it's stuck. And I couldn't get it off.
That must have had a certain amount of drama to it, all right.
Yeah.
No wonder you got panic attacks.
Yeah. It's a miracle that you've ever gotten a helicopter again.
Yeah. We'll send God to see you.
Yeah. Thanks very much.
Okay.
Well, you got it open, though.
I didn't.
Or did a diver have to come down and get you?
In the pool and he opened it.
Okay, right.
And I said to myself, well, that's it. I'm getting a job as a taxi driver or something. You know what I mean? It's just opposite enough. And then the worst part is that I'm down in Brazil now, and they don't do the locals down there, they do anti-shark training. I'd rather deal with the sharks than be turned upside down in an environmental pool in 5 degrees of water. These fellas go down for their offshore survival and they bring, suntan liquid that's not penetrated by water.
Right, okay, well then...
You might get a spirit shock.
Good luck, James.
Thanks very much.
Cheers, James.
I don't know what else to say. I don't know how much help we were to him there. Anne-Marie, good morning.
Hi, Gerry. Hi. Hi, Joe.
Hi.
I just want to ask a question. Well, 2 questions, really. First of all, do you have to wait a certain period of time after somebody passes over before you would see a medium for, maybe for somebody to come
Good
through?
Question.
Okay. No, sorry, Anne-Marie. No, not at all. And I'll tell you why. In my book, there's a specific reading that I've done for a certain person. And I always go to people's homes. I never have them at my home. I go to theirs. And I'd done a party of people, and this gentleman had actually come through, and he said, tell my family to take my tie off because I don't wear one. He was in the other room in the coffin.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they can come through as quick as that.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
And my second question is, I lost my dad just coming up to a year and a half. He died just before Christmas, 07. And he went out one night for a pint. He was on the bus and took a massive heart attack. Now, while he was on the bus, his wallet was robbed. Now, what I'd love to know is whether it was...
After he had the heart attack?
Well, this is what they can't tell whether it was before he had the heart attack.
What part of Dublin was that in?
He was coming from Kilnard and he was going down to Tala Village.
Okay, right.
It would just give me great ease to know that he was actually dead before he was robbed. Or, I mean, it would give me a little bit of peace. Can you tell?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. In these cases that you'd have to do a proper reading and bring the father through. It's no use making a rash decision over the phone. And, you know, you would really need me to connect with the father.
But it is something you could figure out, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it is worth getting a reading done on that.
Yeah.
Right, okay, yeah.
And best to look with it. Does Joe ever get readings from strangers? Let's say someone sitting beside him on an aeroplane. And if he did, would he tell them?
Okay, constantly. I live in a little small town in Ormskirk, just outside Liverpool, and my local Tesco is that there's a lot of old people, and you'll always get spirits that follow old people because most of them have lost their husbands and you know, different things. I don't go over to them at all and say like your husband's behind you or your auntie or whatever. But then sometimes I do get warnings about people where I have to tell them is that the daughter has to stay out of a car or something. Yeah. And I would tell them then.
But you wouldn't keep it to yourself?
I wouldn't keep it to myself. I mean, I'll give you an example of one. I had a dream of a young lady, and I knew the young lady, and I could see her in a coffin. And it come through crystal clear in the dream, and I could see her dead, I could see it in the casket, and then the warning is to go round and tell her mum to stay out of cars. Now, she was pregnant at the time, and her boyfriend was driving around in a robbed car at the time. So obviously, I had prevented a serious car accident. Yeah.
Okay, my friend, it's been a pleasure speaking with you today. I hope the rest of your day goes well for you. A fascinating book, The Man Who Sees Dead People, Joe Power. You're back in the country on May the 21st, I gather. He'll be in University College Hall in the University of Limerick. If you'd like to come along, what will you be doing on that occasion?
I'll be communicating with people's loved ones, like mums, dads, brothers and sisters, and taking a lot of questions.
From the floor
as well.
All welcome. You've got a book though, so phone 061 331549. That's 061 331549. Joe,
thank you very much, Gerry. Pleasure.
Take it easy.
Yeah, thank you.